Once upon a time, the enduring allure of fairy tales. These two words conjure up a world of magic, wonder, and adventure. From a young age, we are captivated by stories of princesses locked in towers, brave knights slaying dragons, and talking animals offering guidance. But what is it about these tales, often passed down through generations, that continues to hold our attention? They offer an escape from the mundane, a journey into realms where anything is possible. Embedded within their narratives are timeless themes of love, loss, courage, and justice. Join us as we delve into the enchanting world of fairy tales, exploring their origins, their cultural significance, and the reasons why these magical stories continue to captivate us generation after generation. Beyond reality, where imagination takes flight, fairy tales transport us to worlds unbound by the constraints of reality, where logic is suspended and anything is possible. Talking animals become trusted companions, pumpkins transform into carriages, and wishes whispered on the wind have the power to shape destiny. This departure from the ordinary allows us to explore the limitless possibilities of what if. Fairy tales provide a safe space for children to confront their fears and explore complex emotions through fantastical scenarios. But the power of imagination inherent in fairy tales is not limited to children. In a world often dominated by logic and reason, fairy tales offer a much-needed dose of wonder and a reminder that even in the face of adversity, hope and imagination can prevail. Whispers from the past, tracing the ancient roots. The origins of fairy tales run far deeper than bedtime stories whispered in darkened rooms. These narratives have roots that stretch back centuries, often predating written history and existing within the oral traditions of various cultures. Early forms of fairy tales can be found in ancient civilizations across the globe. As these stories traveled across continents, they were adapted and reshaped to fit the cultural contexts in which they landed. The fairy tales we know today are evolving narratives that have been shaped and reshaped over time, offering a fascinating glimpse into the beliefs, values, and anxieties of different cultures throughout history. Mirrors and lessons. Reflecting cultures around the world, fairy tales reflect the cultural context in which they are told and retold. Consider the different versions of the Cinderella story found across the globe. In the European tradition, Cinderella relies on magical help to escape her dreary existence and find her prince. However, in the Chinese tale of Ye Xian, the heroine utilizes her own intelligence and the help of a magical fish to overcome her adversaries. Similarly, the settings, characters, and creatures featured in fairy tales often reflect the geography, climate, and wildlife of the cultures from which they originate. By studying the variations and adaptations of fairy tales across cultures, we gain a deeper understanding of the societies from which they emerged. These stories act as cultural artifacts, preserving traditions, beliefs, and values that might otherwise be lost to time. Section 5, Timeless Tales, Familiar Faces, from Cinderella to Snow White. Certain fairy tales have transcended cultural boundaries to become embedded in the global consciousness. Take, for example, the story of Cinderella. A young woman, forced into servitude by her cruel stepmother and stepsisters, Cinderella's fortunes change with the help of a magical fairy godmother, who whisks her away to the prince's ball. Another beloved classic is the story of Snow White. A beautiful young princess, Snow White becomes the target of her stepmother's envy, after a magic mirror declares her to be the fairest of them all. Other enduring fairy tales include Beauty and the Beast, The Little Mermaid, and Sleeping Beauty. These stories, while simple in their structure, explore complex human emotions and timeless themes, ensuring their continued relevance across generations. Section 6. The Power of Archetypes, Why These Stories Resonate. One of the reasons why certain fairy tales resonate so deeply across cultures and time periods is their use of archetypes. Archetypes represent fundamental human experiences, motivations, and personalities, allowing us to connect with stories on a subconscious level. In fairy tales, we encounter archetypal characters such as the hero, the villain, the damsel in distress, the wise old man, and the trickster. The hero often embarks on a journey, faces trials and tribulations, and ultimately triumphs over evil. Similarly, the villain represents the darker aspects of human nature. Fairy tales also utilize archetypal themes and motifs that tap into our collective unconscious. By tapping into these universal archetypes, fairy tales bypass cultural and linguistic barriers, speaking to us on a deeper, more primal level. Section 7. Childhood Dreams and Adult Escapes, a Universal Appeal. While often associated with childhood, the appeal of fairy tales extends far beyond the realm of children's literature. For children, fairy tales offer a gateway to imagination, a safe space to explore complex emotions, and a framework for understanding the world around them. As adults, we may no longer believe in talking animals or fairy godmothers, but the themes explored in fairy tales remain relevant throughout our lives. Moreover, fairy tales provide a much-needed escape from the stresses and complexities of adult life. This temporary escape can be incredibly cathartic, offering a sense of wonder, renewal, and a reminder that even in the face of adversity, the power of imagination can never be extinguished. Section 8. Lessons in Storytelling, the enduring structure of fairy tales. Beyond their captivating narratives and timeless themes, fairy tales also offer valuable lessons in the art of storytelling. The enduring structure of these tales, often characterized by their simplicity, directness, and use of literary devices, has influenced countless writers and storytellers throughout history. One of the key elements of a successful fairy tale is its clear and concise structure. Fairy tales also make effective use of literary devices such as repetition, symbolism, and foreshadowing to enhance the narrative and engage the reader. By studying the structure, pacing, and literary devices employed in these tales, aspiring writers can gain valuable insights into the elements that make a story captivating, memorable, and ultimately timeless. Section 9. Beyond the Written Word, Fairy Tales in Modern Media. While originating in oral traditions and later finding their way into written form, fairy tales have proven to be remarkably adaptable, transcending mediums and continuing to captivate audiences in the modern age. From animated films to live-action remakes, television series to video games, the magic of fairy tales continues to thrive in contemporary media. One of the most notable examples of fairy tale adaptation is the Walt Disney Company, which has played a significant role in shaping our modern understanding of these classic stories. In recent years, there has been a resurgence of interest in live-action adaptations of fairy tales, with studios reimagining classic stories for contemporary audiences. Beyond film and television, fairy tales have also found a home in video games, providing rich source material for interactive storytelling. The continued presence of fairy tales in modern media speaks to their enduring appeal and adaptability. Section 10. The Darker Side of Magic, Exploring Difficult Themes. While often perceived as lighthearted and whimsical, fairy tales are not without their share of darkness. Beneath the surface of enchanted forests and talking animals lie complex themes and challenging situations that reflect the often harsh realities of life. Many fairy tales confront themes of death, loss, and abandonment head-on. Fairy tales also explore darker aspects of human nature such as jealousy, greed, and the abuse of power. These stories serve as cautionary tales, reminding us of the dangers of succumbing to negative emotions and the importance of choosing kindness and compassion. While modern adaptations often soften these elements, it is important to remember the historical context in which these tales emerged, and to recognize that fairy tales, while magical, are not always sanitized versions of reality. Section 11. Forever Enchanted, the Timeless Magic of Fairy Tales. In a world that is constantly changing, fairy tales remain a steadfast presence, their magic undimmed by the passage of time. Fairy tales speak to our innate desire for wonder, for escape, and for a world where good triumphs over evil and dreams, however impossible, have the power to come true. These stories offer us solace, reminding us that even in the darkest of times, hope and resilience can prevail. They teach us valuable life lessons about courage, kindness, perseverance, and the importance of staying true to oneself. As long as we continue to tell and retell these stories, passing them down from generation to generation, the magic of fairy tales will continue to enchant, inspire, and remind us of the boundless possibilities that lie within us all. And so too will the enchanting world of fairy tales, ready to transport us to realms of wonder and remind us of the enduring power of storytelling.